In a world of uncertainty,
Rivers jizzing in his pants, and then you bring up your wife in the next sentence. Like, I know where we're going. What is going on?
there is only one place you can turn for fair dinkum advice.
One word, unbelievable. 2 words, holy shit. 3 words, oh my god.
A place where the undeniably American
It sounds so weird in like an Australian accent.
meets the undeniably Aussie.
Hey, let's stop the foreskinning for some absolutely wonderful segments later.
Where the analysis is solid
I, for one, was not one of those haters, as I picked a Rams victory.
Look, I think he can get over 150 yards in this game, easily.
Kick his ass, Tyler Bass!
and everything else is out to kill you.
There's going to be shrinking nutsacks all over the place.
Welcome to the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
G'day and welcome into the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. My name is Matty C, as some of you all know, but I am joined by the ever-brilliant Talor and Manjot. Say g'day, fellas.
Hey.
G'day, fellas.
Yeah, there you go. Let me tell you where you can find us before we get any further. And it's a great spot where you can interact with us and ask us your fantasy questions and play games with us too. We're on YouTube and Instagram at Aussie NFL Fantasy. We've got an email address set up too at aussienflfantasy@gmail.com. And for those of you who don't like the written word, you can even leave us a voicemail message at anchor.com/Aussie NFL Fantasy. Before we bring the boys in for reals though, this is something we've been doing and I think it's important, is to acknowledge the traditional landowners of the places we're dialing in from. And for Manjot and I, we're in Canberra today, and that is traditional Ngunnawal and Ngambri land. And we'd like to acknowledge the traditional landowners and pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. But we'd also like to extend that acknowledgement out to the Darawal people who are in the Wollongong region where Taylor dials in from. And we'd like to make sure that we pay some acknowledgement and respect to the First Nations people of the land on which we're meeting on tonight. What do you reckon, fellas? Is that a good start?
Yeah.
All right. All the seriousness aside now, we've been serious for a good 25 seconds, and that's more than I'm ready for. We're getting into some pointier subjects tonight. I'm really excited.
That is overs.
Yep.
That is overs.
Look,
I'm
you
so
boys
excited about this.
Yeah, you boys, look, I got to warn you. If we're going to do any debating, if you guys watch my performance on the Aussie End Zone, which is coming out 6 a.m. Thursday morning, the night before the day before the draft, we're getting it out there. Look, if you watch my performance in the first 15 picks, look, they were all getting swept up by me. So look, you guys been warned. I could be having a good performance today. You know, that lawyer in me might be too much for Talor and Matty. Just want to put it out there. If we're debating like our ranks and then putting it higher and lower and stuff.
Oh, there's going to be fights.
I've got one. I'm just looking through just for our numbers on these rankings, which we'll get through. There's definitely one sticking out like a sore thumb from me. It's always interesting to see who's sort of the outlier on some of them. And it's definitely one I'm way more of an outlier. Actually, no, two. There's two that I'm very much going to die on that hill. So I'm looking forward to
people that you love and people you hate, and we're going to fight. This is going to be so great.
And that's one thing with me. Like, I don't really sit on fences because, well, for one, it would just shatter and break. And two, it's just I kind of like to really make my call on players and really stick to it. I kind of go half and half out. So
stick your neck out, brother. That's the way. I don't think there's anyone better to talk about rankings either, because we're a nation of rankers, right? We have in all our sports that we have ladders to, display the standings of teams in all our national sports. We have an opinion-based system to establish the best and fairest in all these leagues that's awarded at the end of the season. People have to chip in as who was 3 points, who was 2 points, who was 1 point, and all gets total. Yeah. But also we have the hottest 100 every year on one of the great national radio stations. So we are a nation of people who are well qualified to make some opinions on rankings. I say we throw a drop in. There you go.
Yeah, and we rank our politicians 1 to whatever by how least shit they are. But
and ScoMo is not number 1, by the way.
Yeah,
and there's no good result.
Apolitical podcast. But
You'll have to tune in for the
Secretly.
Matty,
That's our
Manjot and
next one.
Taylor Talk Politics podcast.
Yeah, that's our next. That's our next
That's
spin-off,
our
guys.
next spin. The Seinfeld podcast as well. But
It
anyway,
was going to be called Ask Manjot, thanks to Marv, who we were on with last week over at the Pods Like Us podcast. That's up and live and dangerous too. And he's actually shared some really great footage from that with me that we're going to co-publish through our own channel as well. So look out for that.
yes, sir.
I say we drop a drop in because that's what drops do. And then we get into some quarterbacks. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
So why not attack the host of this show?
I feel like we should organise some sort of prize for you or something. I don't know.
Last week, everyone had AIDS. This week, everyone has Yades.
Aussie.
Funnily enough, this position is called tight end, but it's leaving me with my end less than tight.
NFL.
You know what you do. You go and get T. Higgins,
I don't know why, I just had this feeling you wouldn't like Joe Mixon.
David Montgomery,
Hunter Henry,
Jarvis Landry,
Teddy Two Gloves.
Kenyon Drake.
Fantasy.
Byron Pringle was actually pretty good.
Yeah, mate. It was a Chris Kringle, that guy.
That didn't sound very exciting.
There's only one quarterback I think is hotter.
Don't take it. There's a pick I want, man. Don't take it, mate.
This is how big of a fan I am. I have a 49ers checker set.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
The only thing that was tightening up was my pants.
Mate, I have the list of quarterbacks in front of me right now. I'm looking at it and I can see that there is amazingly something we all agree on. Do you know?
Wonderful.
We all think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in fantasy for the coming year as things lay right now, last week of April before the draft. That's impressive that we all think that.
Yep. Well, did you see that screenshot which says Josh Allen, only QB in NFL history? That's all you need to know. Number one
He's the
in the
only-
nation.
Sorry, did he say he's
Yeah.
the only quarterback in NFL history?
Well, it's an ESPN graphic that's just been like,
There's
cropped,
never been another
obviously.
one.
But,
there never will
yeah.
be.
Yeah, there's
Only one quarterback.
no other quarterbacks. Okay, end of quarterback ranking because
Turns
we've
out
already
They're all
ESPN
running
stats
backs.
and info.
It's not
Yeah.
just Lamar Jackson who's a running back. They all are.
Hey, we know I'm a Lamar defender here, but I'll take that one. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to publish these as our consensus rankings because what we've done, and this is something that a few websites do, and we're professional and shit. So we actually have all gone down and ranked our top 15 quarterbacks, and Manjot went and ranked even more because we love this guy. And
Why not?
and then we've worked out, okay, so if we've all ranked Josh Allen 1, the consensus ranking is those 3 ones added up, divided by how many rankers? 3. His consensus ranking is 1.0. The guy who has the next lowest number, because this is like golf, not basketball, low is good. In our consensus rankings, Manjot and I love ourselves a slice of Patrick Mahomes. Taylor, though, a little off Patrick Mahomes and ranked him down in the depths of 3rd overall. Explain yourself.
Obviously hate him, like just to destroy him with that
What did he
ridiculously
do?
low ranking.
Was he trying to hit on your wife or something?
Look, to be honest, there's probably out there people could actually say that Mahomes maybe could be even slightly lower. But
Yeah.
he finished as quarterback 4 last year, and he lost his best receiver. So there actually is a world where he kind of sits more towards the, it's hard to see him being outside the top 5, but he could actually be on the lower end of the spectrum of the top 5. I still have him at 3. I still think he's just an unbelievable quarterback and has just a ridiculously, big skill set that I can never see him. I don't think I could ever rank him outside the top 3. I've just got someone a little bit later that we'll talk about that I think has leapfrogged him. He leapfrogged him last year. He's younger. To me, he's in a more exciting offense this year. And I just really, really like the team in general. So there's someone I've always been bullish on this guy. I've talked him up on the podcast for the last couple of years that he's even been in the league. But
That's a lot of foreskin, mate. No,
That's a lot.
that is an elephant man level of foreskin.
That is loose skin.
Jeepers. We're going to have to talk about that too, because that stands out like dog nuts. You're ranking him compared to us. Manjot and I we don't actually differ all that much in a lot of our quarterback rankings. You look down, we're defenders of Lamar Jackson, all of us. We've got him in the top 5. In fact, Colin Murray we all have in the top 5. And our 5th consensus running back, I'm just going to go straight into, I can't avoid all that foreskin, mate. I'm swimming around in it like it's a beanbag. Tell us about this man who you've dragged right up the rankings that clearly Manjot and I just hate. What have you done here, Tay?
I'm actually surprised how low you guys are on it. It doesn't honestly make a lot of sense to me. I just spoke about it with all the foreskin that I just talked and tried to swim through. He finished quarterback 2 or 3 last year, and to me, all his weapons came back. I just think the team knows each other even better. He's in a division that they're going to have to throw a lot. I know their defense got even better, which doesn't always equate to quarterback success, but he's in a division where there's going to be a lot of points. So I don't really see that be too much of an issue. I just think he's going to be more efficient than ever. The kid is just an absolute freak talent. Like to me, he's got. It's hard to say. It's hard to say that he's got more talent than Mahomes. I don't think he does with his arm or anything like that. He might have a better deep ball. I mean, that's probably up for debate as well. But he's just got an awesome situation. He's got all of his receivers back. The team likes to go for it on 4th down, which is enormous. It's probably not spoken about enough because he just gets more time on the field. So I just can't see him not being right up there at the top in the quarterback rankings. And if he was to he's got a bit of a skill set where I think he can add rushing to his game as well. He's a very big guy, and he could even turn more into a Josh Allen as well moving forward. I don't think he has to, but he's definitely got it there, and he had a few games last year where he showed that skill set. So that's just a bit more upside.
Yeah. So I clearly hate him the most because I've got him ranked way down at 9. I'm pulling his number down like a pair of undies. And Taylor, the other way around, loving himself some Justin Herbert, has him ranked at number 2. Manjot, I think, is definitely the steadier. He's Manjot in the middle.
Manjot in the middle.
Yeah, I was in Manjot the middle lane. Yeah, look, with Herbert though, I reckon he'll be pretty good. I think I just ranked a few higher than him because it's just more about rushing for me. I feel like those rushing stats would really pad some numbers up, especially my boy Lamar. I put him at number 3 because he's the best running quarterback in the league, and I think Lamar definitely gonna take a huge leap this year. I mean, he's already won an MVP, but he's gonna take even another level above the MVP level.
But I think last year he was actually playing really, really well through that first sort of third of the season, and I don't know that it takes a lot for him to return to that.
Yeah, he was my MVP in the first third of the season, and then it just went all downhill from there because of the injury, man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I don't know if he comes back in his usual shape. There's no reason he's not running for 800 plus yards and causing trouble for everybody. And I mean, he's in a division where, again, there's going to be some interesting defenses to look at. And I think he is the difference between that offense and getting stopped by some pretty interesting defenses. He's just kind of this key that unlocks a few things that people will find hard to stop.
You can throw out last year for the Ravens offense too. Like, I mean, outside of Mark Andrews' breakout, I think that's definitely for real. But the amount of injuries that team had, it was just absolutely insane. So, I think you can sort of throw out last year. And I think Lamar at least showed enough in the games. I mean, as soon as he played against me, he seemed to play very well. So
that was amazing.
Oh, yeah. If Ben Simmons, wait up. I got to bring him up. But if Ben Simmons is talking about back soreness, he should have seen what Lamar Jackson was doing with that Ravens team last year. Gee, man, he was carrying them. How sore would his back be? Man, he'd be waking up sore every morning, man.
What's Ben Simmons got to complain about?
Can't have been happy that his backup was playing better than him as well.
Ooh. Ouch. Poor old Ben.
Yeah, Josh left the building.
He's gone. Yeah, he's out. I am hottest on Dak Prescott. I've got him ranked as my number 5, only because CeeDee Lamb is he's really shown himself to be something else, and they're keeping Dalton Schultz, who sort of turned up and became something. Michael Gallup's no joker, and I just got to imagine that Jerry puts some high draft capital into a wide receiver again, because I don't think he can help himself. So I am kind of foreskinning what's going to happen in the draft with Dallas there as well in my ranking. You guys not as hot on Dak, but still it's hard not to put him in the top 10 like Tom Brady behind him. But gee, we were a bit over the map with Aaron Rodgers, and I think Again, you should
Me
explain
again.
yourself better, Aaron Rodgers, mate. Taylor
explain.
takes the top 10, takes Aaron Rodgers, and just throws it in opposite directions. Hurls one into the sun and one into hell. Like, I don't even know which one you put where, but they are nowhere near each other. Aaron Rodgers in the top 10. You put him at 11. Explain yourself.
And it's one of those things, right, where I like to sort of just go through, start at one, and just like take the names out of it a little bit. And like, if you just asked me before I did my rankings, I don't think I would have said off the top of my head, I'm Aaron Rodgers will be outside the top 10 or be 11. It's just I had a lot of people I liked better. And I just had to take into account him losing Devontae Adams. It's just an enormous loss for him. And I just think they're going to have to run the ball more. I think they're going to have to go through a mixture of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon a lot more. And I think he is going to be able to throw the ball to Aaron Jones a fair bit, but they have no one. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, they're obviously going to have to go into the draft. And to be honest, it'd be hilarious if they just drafted a defensive end or something just to piss Aaron Rodgers off even more. But they have
Don't you
no
know the
one
offense is going to go through Sammy Watkins now?
It is legitimately Lazard and the Lizard. The Lizard King. The bloke
Some
who thinks he's
lizard.
a lizard. So,
actually picked up something green from the car park, baking in the sun.
It is insane. Like, between them and the Falcons, like, I don't know who has the worst bloody receiving core right now. Like, and it's as good as Aaron Rodgers is. I'm not trying to say he isn't. Not everyone can just do that with no one. Like, it's a huge loss. He is getting older. I just don't think he doesn't have a running game either. So him losing Devontae Adams like that, his absolute target, magnet, really. I just don't see a world where he is up there in fantasy this year. It's going to take an absolute superhuman performance, and I just don't think he has the skill set to be right up there with what he's got. So, I don't know. There were just a lot of people I liked better this year, and I thought 11 at the end of it, where I looked at who was in front of him, I just thought it made sense.
I think it's hard to argue with the thinking behind it. Manjot, you were going to say?
Yeah, I'm going to slightly disagree here. I think, well, we're doing the show just for our viewers to know. We're doing it like a couple nights before the draft, the NFL draft. So it's going to be hard to when we're talking about way too early rankings. I said this was about a week too early, but
it is.
I was talking about my workload there, but I'm actually, now I see why I said it was way too early. It's actually also about Aaron Rodgers. It's a bit hard to project him at the moment. So it's very fluctuating. As Taylor has him out of the top 10, I have him in the top 5 because literally it's the reigning 2-time MVP. And they've been overly reliant on Devontae Adams. I agree. But I think from what I'm doing with my mock drafts and everything, I think they're going to take 2 wide receivers in the first round. That's how I've been doing my mocks, because I've just been seeing it that way. Like Jahan Dotson, I've been seeing so many mocks to him to the Packers. Yeah, so I'm reckoning if Jahan Dotson, by the time this episode is published, the draft would have probably, the first round would have probably been done. But they've got 5 picks inside the top 60. And, I did a 2-round mock. So I reckon, they're going to get a lot of defensive help somewhere. A lot of wide receivers out there. It's like Christian Watson, Sky Moore, these sort of low-key guys you can find in the second round as well. As the first round, you find a few dudes like Jahan Dotson. I'm talking about Jamison Williams also. If they can get Jamison Williams, then that Rodgers stock is a bit higher, I reckon, because Rodgers is he's gonna grow. Williams is gonna grow a lot with Rodgers. Yeah, so it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy to see what the Packers do. They haven't drafted a first-round wide receiver since 2002. I'm pretty certain they will change that trend on Friday morning our time, Thursday night, draft night for the Americans. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Packers do. That's probably going to change a few Rodgers projections, I think. Yeah, so if they don't draft a receiver in the first round, they get maybe a second round dude or something. Honestly, if they don't get it within the first 2 rounds, I'd be concerned. but if they get a second round guy, he could still be decent. A first round guy, I expect them to get a first round receiver because they got 2 first rounders. So, yeah, it's all about what they do at the draft. Yeah.
My ranking has that baked in. I actually don't. I wouldn't change it just because they went and got one of those first rounders. I don't think that equates to fantasy success in the first season for a wide receiver. I think it's going to take time. Even though you would want to draft, obviously, in Dynasty, whoever goes there, it will be a very good situation maybe next year, the year after, and probably late this year. I just don't think you can send a rookie there straight away and expect him to be a 1 on a playoff contender. I just think it's a very tough situation to do it. So even if they do take someone early, I still would have him there because he finished as QB 6 last year. And I just don't see how it gets better for him. It's only going to get worse, I think. So that's why I've got him 11.
I've got 2 things I want to say about the idea of a rookie going in there and not maybe being all that successful straight away. And the names are things like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. I was thinking the same thing.
And we're not talking about likelihood of taking someone who's not some kind of rock star. We're expecting they're going to take some pretty high pedigree wide receiver talent. So look, if come the end of the fantasy season, they have taken a really high wide receiver and he has a tremendous rookie year, I'm not actually going to be surprised. And then if at the end of it all, it washes out, Aaron Rodgers is the 5th or 6th quarterback again. Yeah, I think he's given me enough reason to think that is more likely to happen than not. That's kind of where mine is based, is that I don't know. I've been around 15 years and watched this guy just do it. So I'm finding it hard to see. I haven't seen anything that looks like a drop off for him.
Yeah, just watch them trade their 2 first rounders in a second, move up into the top 10 and take Garrett Wilson after you said that. just go for it. Just go for it, Green Bay. What else do you have to lose?
Replace Adams. Kiermaier would lose his mind if that happened. Tim, the manager of the Canberra Crusaders in the Astro League, he would lose his mind. He would just lose his mind. He was mad enough when they took Jordan Love. Looking down the rest of the top 10 here, we've got Rodgers as our consensus 8th quarterback with a consensus rank of 7.3. And then Matt Stafford comes in. We all pretty much rank him around the same spot. His consensus ranking is 8, which makes him our 9th. And to round out the top 10, again, we all kind of rank Jalen Hurts around about the same. And then from here, you're starting to get into the fringe of guys. If somebody has taken a second quarterback in your league and you're still without your starter, the way we have them sitting now is that we would have Russ outside the top 10, then Joe Burrow at 12, Derek Carr at 13. These are the guys that you might be looking to start if someone has already finagled a quarterback. There is a very notably low ranking amongst one of those 3 guys. Taylor, I'm looking at you, Russell Wilson. You've talked about the Russell Wilson hate. I just need a refresher. That's all. I don't need the full course. This is like when you've done your first aid and, it's about to run out. I don't need the full course again. I just need a refresher, mate.
I don't think you're going to get a full course because I've just given too much. I can't have my entire off-season, pre-season just be an absolute Russ hate fest because I just know he's going to come out in the first 4 or 5 weeks and just blitz it. And everyone's going to try and say that I've screwed the pooch on that one. But I've told you 1,000 times, it's not about the first 4 or 5 weeks. It's about the entire season. And if you get Russ struggling in the second half of the season and he's sitting there as your quarterback in your league, what the hell do you do with him? And it's a whole season for a reason. You can't just unless you've got a plan to trade him after 5 weeks, then go for it. I'm all for that. I haven't seen anything out of this guy in the last 3 years that he's gonna have any consistency in the second half of the year. He's just died in the ass every time. Last year, you can say it's because of injury, but the 2 years before that, he had no injury. He just absolutely started struggling.
He just dropped off.
Again, I know he's got a better court. I know he's got a better situation in Denver. They've talked about that they want to let him cook, blah, blah, blah. I've just got to see it first. If I see it and it lasts an entire season, then the year after, I'm sure I'll have a better rank for him. But until I see it, I've got him at 13. We've got him around 10 or 11. So I'm not absurdly low on him. I wasn't going to put him outside the top 15 or anything. I think with Javonte Williams there, there's going to be some games where they're just going to run the clock out and things like that anyway. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to be horrendous. I just don't think he's going to be worth all this hype that everyone's talking about giving him $40 million a year and stuff.
I know. Manjot's got him ranked the highest out of us at 10.
Look,
Manjot,
I put him,
defend your spot.
low end starter, I reckon. Like Taylor said, Javante could get a few carries, especially at the end of the season. You're going to look at cold weather games in Denver with that altitude. I reckon, that's a Javante game script right there. And Wilson, I'm going with him at 10. I think you can get some good value in a trade. I'm just looking at how you can sculpture him into a trade package. It's just going to be interesting choice of words. Apologies. Yeah.
Taylor hates trading.
I know.
I doubt we'll get much insight from him.
Such a shit part of the game.
So, trading, so overrated. I never did that. I beat Matty C in a championship. Yeah, that's how you do it. But, I'm going with Russ at 10. I think he'll have a good first 5 weeks, and it's going to be, do you believe in him or do you not? If you're a manager like Taylor, I reckon trade him, get a guy like Kyler, get someone else who's good, and then maybe get like a solid wide receiver free or something as well. You just got to hope that Wilson is going to be quarterback number 1, and then a guy like Kyler is going to be like quarterback 3. And then you get that sort of trade package where you get like a solid wide receiver free. That's going to be a great flex play. So, that's just what I'm thinking.
There's always one enormous Russ fan in every league too. Like there just always is. I don't know. Remember, I said my take that I said on this podcast a few weeks ago in one of my messenger groups, and like 3 people just straight away were at me like, "Oh, that's a freezing cold take." Oh, it's all because of his finger last year. Like straight away, were just at me, and I'm like, all I said was that maybe we shouldn't be hyping this guy up like he's the best thing since sliced bread. It's all I said. It wasn't like I think this guy's horrendous or anything. I just said I think we might be overhyping, and it's like, no, you suck.
You did sort of say, I don't know, maybe he's done on our last podcast.
Well, that's what I mean though. Maybe I stand by that. I 100% stand by that.
That'd be a bit spicy. Goodness. I like that. See, there you go. He's just
and this was
I'm not saying he's terrible. Version. I'm just saying he might be done.
I'm just saying there's a chance. Leave it to be a chance.
Tom Brady might retire at 44. And you're still wrong about that.
Never wrong, mate. He still retired. I didn't say he'd retire forever.
Look, wasn't that on an old show? That was on an old podcast we did. That was on an older podcast we did. It wasn't. Look, it was in another series of another podcast we did.
A podcast that doesn't exist.
On another podcast.
And this is so great.
Taylor won everything.
Taylor won everything. And this is why that podcast doesn't exist anymore. Taylor, actually the most bullish on Tom Brady. He's got Tom Brady ranked 6, which is leading all of us in terms of Tom Brady love. So he wants him to retire. He gets him out of retirement, and now he immediately puts him just on the fringe of the top 5. That is love. That is a love story. Find somebody who looks at you the way that Taylor looks at Tom Brady. That's my advice for everybody out there.
I said this last time though. There's insane value at quarterback this year. I actually think sort of drafting in that late area. I would say middle in Astro, but like in a 10-team league, I would wait till 10 for sure. I just think the guys around there. Look, your Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, like Herbert sort of range. I don't think anyone's going to touch them, but I think from like 4 to 10, I think that could swap easily. So I would just take the last guy on that run.
Is there anyone outside that 3 you really think has the chance to bash through? I mean, okay, Herbert, you've ranked him much higher than, Allen and Mahomes and Jackson. But gee, out of those 3, the top 3 consensus, Herbert's really the one guy we think can break through.
Yeah.
I kind of think Kyler's got that chance too.
Yeah, Kyler as well. I was going to say
Kyler could be for sure if he goes nuclear and he's got all the assets. He's
doesn't get injured.
Cliff's just got to have a game plan that just seems to happen, week in, week out. It's like 1 week Kyler's rushing for 50, 60 yards and a touchdown, and then all of a sudden he just puts the rushing away. It's real weird.
Yeah, it's a steady dose of James Conner from a yard and a half out.
Yeah, exactly.
He will have. There's a wide receiver there, DeAndre Hopkins or something. I don't know. Young receiver. Never heard of him. If he's playing this year, he was on my Astros team. That thing sputtered and spurted its way to about 7 and
Surely
7.
not worth a second round pick in real life.
Probably not.
Nah.
We'll talk about our wide receiver rankings on our next one. But maybe that's something that will help Kyler along if that guy's actually on the field. Any closing thoughts about quarterback before we move on?
Not sold on Jalen Hurts, to be honest. I had him outside the top 10. I'm not super sold on him because I need to see more in his passing game. I get that rushing performances and stuff is going to bring an immense fantasy value. And I agree, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before actual real life defenses manage to game plan for that, find like linebackers to like quarterback spy him and stuff. And just, it's going to be difficult for him to keep going at this pace with only rushing. He has to develop that passing game. And that's my biggest worry when it comes to Jalen Hurts. So I'm not too sold on drafting him super highly this year. Yeah.
I don't rate the Eagles defense much, which to me just says this guy's going to be facing prevent defenses and he'll just run for yards late in the game. I don't believe in the guy. If you took out fourth quarter rushing, I reckon Trevor Lawrence will have more fantasy points than him this year. But he's going to have a lot of fourth quarter rushing and bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, the garbage man can. He is the absolute garbage man. Like, it is unbelievable. The People's Dynasty team has him, and it freaks you out at the end of the third quarter, and he's got 1.7 points. And then all of a sudden, it's just rush attempt here, rush attempt there. And somehow Jags one touchdown on the ground, and then all of a sudden you've eked your way to like 14 points, and you're like, thank God he's running. He's quarterback 13 this week. It looked like he was going to be quarterback 100.
Now, one other thing on quarterback, I didn't rank Trey Lance, and if I was ranking all the way to 20, he would have been 20, which would have absolutely affected his number. Because I don't know that he's the starter. But you guys seem really sure he is. Do we know?
Yeah.
Have I missed a memo?
I do not. Look, I'm Mr. Niners fan here. Niners insider kind of.
What? You're a Niners fan?
I've heard this.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's got a faint affection for the Niners. How everyone's got a faint affection for, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I've been hearing so much. Reports, and Jimmy G, there's no chance he's starting. Every single sign is pointing towards Trey Lance starting. I was listening to John Lynch's press conference this week. Yesterday he was saying Trey's our guy, he's going to be the starter. So I'm hearing a lot of words that are saying he's going to be the starter. I'm hearing it from the team itself. It's not just inside, it's not just like anonymous sources, it's actually dudes who are in the team, the higher ups, Lynch and Shanahan, essentially are saying he's the starter. So I'm seeing that he's the starter. So I believe he's going to be the starter. That's what I'm seeing. I believe Jimmy G is going to get traded or cut. He's going to be the backup of the Niners if he gets cut. That's just what I'm seeing. He's not going to be the starter. I am 100% sure Jimmy G cannot be the starter of this football team. I don't know. I want to get into full rant jot mode onto that, but he
rant jot.
From the Aussie end zone originally. Original the Aussie end zone creation.
We need to poke Manjot a lot more this season to get rant jot out, don't we, Taylor? Isn't that something now? Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I'll send you boys the episode that rant jot came out, and then you'll see.
Because up until now, you've been the man encyclopedia, and I want to see him angry. So now I'm addicted to the idea of some rant jot.
No Jimmy Garoppolo. Always rant jot coming out. Yep. There you go.
It's amazing that the team that gave up 3 first-round picks or whatever it was is actually going to go with that quarterback after a year.
Yeah.
That they actually traded up in the draft for. Amazing.
For this second division quarterback. Weird.
I don't know if you'll remember, Matty. I was quite bullish on Trey Lance last year. I had this feeling he was going to take over, so I stashed him on my bench as this like secret weapon for later in the year. Never really sort of came
an
to fruition.
unsecret weapon because you told fucking everybody.
I told absolutely everyone.
I did the same thing
literally
too.
told the draft guy, everyone in the draft, I was doing it, and I still didn't.
And they
know.
still let you have him because we all knew. We all knew.
I did the same thing too, but what do you do at round 16, Taylor? You just take Trey Lance.
Yeah,
take a shot.
Trey Lance. Why not?
He's got the skill set to be an awesome fantasy QB for sure. Obviously, the Debo situation will be interesting for him because if they do trade Debo and they don't really get a good fantasy wide receiver asset, I think it is going to be tough for Lance in his first year. It could be very Jalen Hurtsy where he has to get out and run a lot, and his accuracy is going to be tested a lot. Hopefully Brandon Ayuk steps up. It's hard to really gauge him, because he's looked awesome as the one in his rookie year, and then all of a sudden he just sort of fell off last year. So maybe he'll help.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Lance is sort of like that guy that I think I ranked him as right on 15. You could see him if everything went right being in the top 10. But you could also see him being 28th. It's one of those crazy ones where you just sort of trying to take a shot on talent.
It's having a shot, right? Because I think all those things you say about Trey Lance are also true of someone like Jameis Winston. If I end up with Jameis Winston in Astro League, which is a 16-team league where it's 6-point passing touchdowns as well. So however you get the touchdowns is just as valuable, where a lot of leagues in standard, it's 4 points for the passing and 6 points for the rushing. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have the penalty of it being a passing touchdown. A guy like Jameis is super interesting to me.
And what's funny, right, is we've got like Justin Fields there at 14, Trey Lance just outside. But I would actually take a guy like Kirk Cousins that we have at like 19 over, like if I had to say who I think would finish first out of those three, I would take Kirk Cousins, even though we've got him ranked lower. It's just because, like you said, he's just a lettuce sandwich. Like you just feel like you're just going to get an even sort of season out of him, kind of similar to Ryan Tannehill as well. But I actually think Cousins may be underdrafted in a way this year because there's at least a little bit of upside baked in that a different a change at coach for them, they may actually pass a bit more. And obviously having Justin Jefferson is just, a huge help. So I actually think there is slight upside for him possibly this year, but I mean, it's still Kirk Cousins. So no one's ever going to see it and no one's ever going to draft him on. So I just think he's a decent waiver wire pick up at some stage, matchup based.
Deep league too. Astro League, he was actually a serviceable starter. And, 15 to 18 points, which is enough to get you by if you've got strength in other positions in that league in particular. But definitely once you get into those like Buymageddon weeks where everyone's on buy and you got 6 teams out or whatever, Kirk Cousins is more than fine.
You got Jackal to the playoffs, baby.
He did.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide to Mr. First Ever Playoffs. 12 seasons it took that guy. Can't wait to see him defend that division this year. That'll be quite something.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
I got no notes, but I got the memory, so...
Every time I believed them a little bit this year, they've just kicked me right in the testes.
Manjot, myth, legend.
All right, you guys throw me into the fire straight away, but that's why I'm here.
Taylor talk time.
Antonio Brown's out there hanging out with Kanye West. If that's not an insane asylum handing the keys to the inmates, I don't know what is.
Maddie C.
This thesaurus is both terrible and terrible.
I've got nothing else.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.